This video deals with research designs, thereby focusing on two specific aspects of the research process, namely the examination unit and especially the data collection. The research design includes the basic information of the scientific investigation. For example, it describes the selection of the research participants. In other words, the research design defines the type of sample and also the size of the sample. The research design also defines the location of data collection, that is, whether the scientific investigation takes place in the laboratory, in the field, or online. The research design also defines the data collection method. The data collection method is essential for answering the research question and, at least in the case of quantitative studies, for testing the hypotheses. The distinction between qualitative research on the one hand and quantitative research on the other hand is central at this point. Qualitative research is primarily about discovering something new, understanding the meaning and potentially generating hypotheses. Quantitative research, on the other hand, is not primarily about discovering something completely new, but rather about testing something that already exists, for example, a hypothesis. In this respect, qualitative research is characterized in particular by an inductive approach, whereas quantitative research is characterized more by a deductive approach. While qualitative and quantitative research are relatively strictly separated and often reflect different research disciplines, there is also a third methodological approach that aims to combine the two different worlds, namely a mixed methods approach, the combination of qualitative and quantitative. At this point, however, we're going to focus on the differences between qualitative and quantitative research. The goals of qualitative research are to gain a basic understanding of facts. Frequently, regularities are generated that can result in formal hypotheses. By contrast, quantitative research focuses more on explaining relationships. In the case of experimental research, causalities can be tested. Here the focus is more on checking the validity of rules, the testing of hypotheses, which in turn can originate from qualitative research. Another fundamental difference lies in the type of data collected. In qualitative research, non-standardized data is typically collected. Quantitative research, on the other hand, typically involves collecting and quantifying data of a relatively large sample. That is, translating the data into numerical values and then evaluating them using statistical methods. Qualitative research is used in particular when there is relatively little prior knowledge, or when deep insights can be gained into a research subject. Examples of qualitative research include in-depth interviews, observations of individuals, or individual case studies. In any case, the sample sizes are relatively small. We are talking about sample sizes of perhaps 5, 10, or 20 subjects. In quantitative research, on the other hand, this is contrasted with standardized surveys, observations, or even experiments. In this case, we are talking about sample sizes that are typically over 100. The advantages of qualitative research are the generation of new knowledge. A small sample is often sufficient and, importantly, deep insights into the respective behavior can be generated. The advantages of quantitative research are its high reliability, the processing of large amounts of data, and, in the case of experiments, the establishment of causality, that is, the testing of a cause and effect relationship. Further specific differences between qualitative and quantitative research are shown in the table at hand.